What's up, YouTube? I wanted to take a minute to talk about everything that's going on with Charlie Kirk and his death and all that stuff. I've been kind of frustrated over the last couple of days ever since it happened. This is, what's today? The 12th. This is the 12th, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the 12th of September, 2025. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in Utah at a university during one of his, ask me anything or change my mind events or whatever the hell he does. And I saw the video and it was pretty hard to watch. It's pretty difficult to watch in general. But anyways, I've been kind of frustrated because over the last few days or a couple of days since it happened, a lot of people around me and online, I'm seeing people talk about it online and everything. And one of the prevailing themes I'm seeing is it's not right to be essentially disrespectful to the memory of a dead guy. And we got to make him look, well, they don't say this, but in practice, it turns into this. We gotta make him look like a good person. We gotta sanitize who he was so that it makes it more acceptable when we look at people who thought he was a bad person and say, oh, he did a lot of it. Because I'll put it this way. I'm just gonna cut to my opinion on it. My opinion on it, to be honest, Charlie Kirk died as a victim of a world that he helped create. And I'm not the first person to tell you that. There's tons of clips online. You can find a Charlie Kirk saying all kinds of crazy, outrageous, inflammatory shit. You don't need me to tell you that Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit, right? Well, maybe you do, but if you do, that's a whole other issue. But for the most part, if you're normal, you pay attention to what's going on around you in any capacity, and you've been exposed to any of Charlie Kirk's work, then you know exactly what kind of person Charlie Kirk was. He basically made videos or had events where he said things that essentially set up or justified every aspect of his own death. I saw videos and clips of him justifying, let's just go down the top three that I see. People talk about, oh, I feel bad, I feel empathetic. You should feel empathetic for him. He's a human being, he died, a person died. You should feel that empathy, right? That's normal. You should feel that, you should express that. The problem with that is, there's a clip of Charlie Kirk, I don't know, maybe there's more, but there's one clip I saw of him basically saying empathy is fake. Empathy is fake. It's not really it's not a real thing. It's harmful. He even called it harmful. It's like, what are you doing, bro? The second thing people say, so that one's out the window. I can't feel bad for you if that's your opinion on empathy. You do not feel empathy for other people because you think it's harmful. Okay. Sorry, you're a bad person. The second thing is, oh, well, I feel bad for the kids, his kids. His kids saw him get killed. His kids saw him executed. And it's like, okay, I can see why that would be bad personally. I wouldn't want kids to see somebody get executed. I wouldn't want my kids to see me get killed or executed or murdered or whatever. The issue with that one is Charlie Kirk has been on record also saying that he thinks kids should witness public execution. It's like, bro, literally every single aspect. We don't even need to get into the third one was the gun thing about the gun violence, right? That one's obvious. He's literally at an event talking about gun violence and whatever the case, but the last question he's asked is something to the effect of school shootings. Do you know how many school shootings there have been or something like that? And he basically deflects to be, he does his racist deflect where he goes, oh, we're including gang violence, and then he gets shot in the neck, which is pretty rough to watch, right? But that's the third one. That's the main one. That's like the biggest one. It's like, bro, you justified kids saying executions. You justified people not showing empathy. And you justified gun violence, gun deaths as a necessary evil to protect the Second Amendment, right? Like it's every single aspect of his assassination, he justified that thing. And it's like, bro, you're a piece of shit. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry. Everybody who's telling me, yeah, well, he was human. You need to be human. You need to show some humanity and blah, blah. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck Charlie Kirk. He was a piece of shit. And as far as I'm concerned, he was a victim of a world that he himself helped create. He pushed all the bullshit he pushed. Nobody made him do that. Charlie Kirk could have went out there and he could have been a journalist for that. He could have been conservative. He could have been a conservative journalist. He didn't need to fill the world in the airways with bullshit that he just made up whole cloth out of racist thin air. He didn't need to do that. He chose to do that. He chose to justify school shootings when it was somebody else that was dying. He chose to justify not showing empathy when it was him that was expected to be empathetic. He chose basically everything that led, all the circumstances that led to Charlie Kirk's assassination. He pretty much egged on, approved of, and justified every step of the way. Even as he watched other people around him, even as he watched kids getting killed in school shootings, he watched trans people getting killed by hate crimes and shit, black people obviously facing bullshit and all that, right? He saw all this happening. He didn't mind everybody else's life being turned upside down because of the bullshit he decided to peddle to enrich himself as the soulless fucking grifter that he was. He didn't mind it at all, as long as it wasn't him. It didn't touch his home. That's it. That's all that happened here. It happened to him. That's it. That's it. So as far as I'm concerned, Charlie Kirk, if he is not a victim, he's a victim of the crime. Obviously, nobody should be shot. I'm unsettled. Let me make that clear too. It's fine to be unsettled by the killing. I'm unsettled by it. I'm a human being. Watching another person lose their life is unsettling. It is an unsettling thing. It's also unfortunate that the people there that witnessed it had to witness it. That's a traumatic experience that I don't think you ever really heal from. A lot of those people, their lives are pretty much ruined because they watched, well, for a lot of them, their idol, and for some of them, a political rival, get shot in the neck in front of them and die right there on the spot. Well, he didn't die on the spot, but if you watch the video, it's pretty clear when you see how he got shot, how it hit him, and all that stuff. It's pretty clear that it's gonna be rough. He's probably not gonna pull through it, right? But yeah, it's incredibly frustrating because by the way, I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm obviously not a Republican. I'm an independent. I do vote for the Democrats, vote with the Democrats, partially because Trump is fucking absurd. Like I can't justify in my mind even considering voting for such a candidate in Donald Trump. And that's not to say I like Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, or fucking Joe Biden, or none of that. It's not to say I like any of them. I don't. I despise every one of them. The difference, though, is that they're not Trump. Trump isn't the problem, but he is such a culmination of everything wrong with our political system, and not even just our political system here in the U.S., the world that we live in. He is such an amazing example of everything wrong with the world we live in, especially our political system. And I don't know how you justify voting for him. Personally, I don't know. Sorry, I just can't. But anyways, back to the Charlie Kirk thing. So just to let you know where I'm coming to this from, I'm not a hardcore Democrat. I don't give a fuck about the Democratic Party at all. It's a rotten institution that doesn't do anything good for the average person. Their job is to be an incompetent middleman between the 1% and the rest of us. But that is better than the Republican Party, which is straight up just in the pocket of the wealthy, and their job is to make things as bad as possible for us and as good as possible for them. These are two completely different political apparatuses. They are not the same. Anybody who tells you they're the same is fucking lying to you, or they're retarded. I don't know which one. You can, suss that out for yourself, but one of those two things is true. They're either dishonest or they're dumb. There can only be those two things. So yeah, not sorry. Charlie Kirk, he got gangplank cued because he decided he wanted to spread hate, and that hate ended up biting him in the ass. The person that shot him came from a Republican family. We don't know what his exact motivations were. We don't really know yet what his exact motivations are as of right now, as of 5:15 p.m. on September 12th. We don't know what his exact motivations are, but we do know he came from a Utah conservative family and household, a Mormon household, and that he, at the very least, held Nazi adjacent company. We don't know necessarily what his views were, but we can make some pretty educated guesses based off of the stuff we've seen so far. For example, one of the things I saw earlier is the bullets he shot had engravings on them, had little jokes from the game Helldivers 2, which I've never played, but I know lots of people like it. But that game is obviously very politically charged. It's a very political game. And then there's a bunch of stuff about him being in the 4chan messages and all this crazy shit. So he clearly wasn't a radical leftist. And that's another thing. I'm supposed to sit here and pretend like the world lost some upstanding young man, which it didn't. It lost a piece of shit. But I'm supposed to sit here and pretend like the world lost this staunch, amazing American hero. And meanwhile, not only are people completely ignoring the kids that got shot in the school, I know some people are talking about it, but most people aren't really worried about that because those kids aren't famous. But on top of that, on top of having to pretend that Charlie Kirk was a good person, we also have to we have to act like we have to just sit here and let Donald Trump and every other hardcore right winger and conservative pretty much come, not even hardcore, just every conservative, because they're all in lockstep with each other. They come out here and they say the radical left did this, the radical left shooter, the radical. We don't even know who this motherfucker was yet. Nobody knew who this motherfucker was. Nobody seen him. They didn't have him yet. There was no suspect. We got a couple pictures of the kid before they actually got to him, or the guy. I mean, he was about 22, I guess, but that's a kid. I'm 33, so to me that's a kid. But we saw some pictures of him, but that was basically it. And it never stopped the Republicans or the conservatives from saying, oh, it's the radical left. We need to crack down on the radical left. I literally saw posts of prominent conservative pundits like Matt Walsh calling for a fucking, not necessarily a civil war, but a retaliation. It's like, bro, we know we're not fucking dumb, bro. We know what you're saying. You know, it's like we got to sit here and we got to listen to that and let them pretend like it was a left-leaning person or a radical leftist that did it. It's like, no, bro, it's one of yours. It was one of yours because you decided you wanted to create a world that was infested with lies, hard, difficult to come by the truth in, and relished in misinformation, the spreading of misinformation and disinformation. That was your guys' side that decided we needed to live in this kind of world. Your guys' side. That's it. Charlie Kirk, like I said earlier, as far as I'm concerned, piece of shit. I feel kind of sorry for his kids because they're kids. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for Charlie Kirk to be their dad. On the one hand, though, I'll be honest with you, I think they're better off without him. Sorry, he was a piece of shit. Not all dads are created equal. There are people that don't have dads that would have been better off with dads, and there are people that have dads that would have been fucking better off without them. Sorry, that's not how that works. You know, so yeah, Charlie Kirk, I feel sorry for his kids, kind of, you know, because they kind of got off not having to have their father be a piece of shit for the rest of their lives. The wife, I don't really give a fuck about. I don't feel any kind of sympathy for her. You married Charlie Kirk. You're culpable. You're an adult human being. You can make your own fucking decisions. You're smart enough to understand that he's causing harm. You're not a fucking idiot. You're not a kid. You're smart enough to understand he's causing harm. You don't care because you were fine with the grift because it made you wealthy. It made you have a comfortable life. So you were fine with your husband ruining everybody else's life with his bullshit rhetoric, and you didn't care to stop him. So sorry, don't give a fuck. Charlie Kirk was a victim of the circumstances that he created. He was yet another gun violence victim in a sea of hundreds of thousands of gun victims on school campuses. Sorry. If he was alive right now, if that had been somebody else that got shot and he was alive right now, he would be out there right now justifying every single circumstance that led up to the killing. So that's my opinion on Charlie Kirk. Sorry, I just don't give a fuck. He was a piece of shit. The world's slightly better off without him. I can't pretend otherwise. I just can't do it. But yeah, that's what I think. I just wanted to get on here and tell y'all what I thought. I don't know if anybody's going to see this or give a shit because I'm a nobody, but my opinion's out there and that makes me feel better. So I'm glad anybody who listened to this, I hope it was at the very least insightful or you got a little bit of a better understanding of the situation if you hadn't known exactly what was going on or weren't completely up to date so far. And I appreciate anybody for watching. Thanks.